Noswaith dda, welcome back to the latest episode of the NFL Cymru podcast. For those of you who watched or listened to our last episode that we released, what was it, Guto? Last week, I think?
This time last week, yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for your support. Like, share, do all of that. We're trying to build a brand here. Obviously, we're trying to make NFL a relevant sport here in Wales and the UK, of course. However, a big welcome back to our co-host, Mr. Guto Williams. Guto, show my mind, how are you?
Thank you. It's been a good week. Thank you for everyone for the support last week. It was nice, actually. Not a lot of people that I know around here are actual NFL fans, but
Yeah,
the support that we had was quite mad, actually. So we really appreciate it. And like you said, we want to build a brand. We want to make a massive thing out of this. And I think we're on the right track. And here's to a few more. So I'm looking forward to it.
absolutely. Yeah, echo everything you just said. And listen, guys, I mean, if you haven't heard, Lewis Rees-Zammit has already said publicly that he wants to bring the NFL to Wales. Because, Guto, I mean, we've got the perfect stadium for it. We've got a roof.
I've been shouting for this.
Some of the best. We've got some of the best supporters in the world. Can you imagine that?
I've been shouting for this since I've started my Twitter page like 3 years ago. This will be a dream come true for me.
Yeah.
Obviously, London is a great trip. It's great
Yeah.
experience to London, but
Yeah.
to have a game in Cardiff, there's rumours of Dublin. They've just announced Australia. Good for them, honestly, but I think we're due a game in Cardiff.
100%.
Like I said, we've got the stadium for it. 75,000. The surrounding areas around Cardiff is everything for everyone. There's room there. It has to happen. It has to happen. And
exactly.
I'm crossing my fingers, and I think about it every day.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, well, do you know what? Like you said, the NFL have launched more international games, like you said.
Yeah.
So the rumours that there might be a game in Ireland. There's definitely going to be a game held every single year in Australia from 2026.
Yeah.
And apparently the Rams are going to be kind of like a designated team to be in Australia, which is interesting.
The Rams will be the host. Yeah. Let's see how that turns out. Obviously,
I don't know how they picked the Rams to be the host. Did you?
No idea. It was a bit of a random one for me as well, but
yeah,
there must be a good support there for the Rams.
Yeah, and then obviously this year, or next season, the 2025 season, we're going to have the first NFL game held in Berlin.
Yeah.
And in Madrid.
In
the Santiago Bernabeu.
Yeah.
And who's going to be hosting the first game ever in Spain, Guto?
Your team, Miami Dolphins.
I will literally give you an arm and a leg to go to that game. First of all, the Santiago Bernabeu has just been renovated. By the way, for those of you who don't know, or probably you do know, the home of one of the most iconic sporting teams in the world, Real Madrid. I think the Santiago Bernabeu holds 100,000 people.
Yeah, I think after the renovations, it might go for 100. Yeah.
So the Dolphins are going to be hosting that first ever game in Spain. And apparently the rumours are that it's going to be the Dolphins against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh, what a game.
Who against Burrow.
What a game.
Crazy. That would be insane.
Yeah.
So again, they're just rumours.
I'm praying that you get tickets for it.
Me too.
Rooting for you, because I'm rooting for you.
Yeah, well, for those of you who, like I said, watched or listened to last week's pod, I was very fortunate to go to Frankfurt, not last season, the season before, end of 2023, and that was just, the best sporting experience I've ever had in my life so far. So I'm thinking Frankfurt is going to be, if Frankfurt is there, Madrid might be above and beyond, but there we are. So there we are. We've covered that. Fantastic. So before, this is the Super Bowl preview. I can't believe we're in Super Bowl week, Guto. We're 3 days out from Super Bowl.
It's a very short season.
Is it Super Bowl 59?
58, I believe, or 59. 58. Yeah. In sunny, beautiful New Orleans.
Yeah.
The more I see the pictures of the city, the more I miss it, because I went to visit it in October. I miss the place, and seeing the pictures of the Super Bowl there, seeing the stadium, I just want to be there again.
Yeah, 100%.
It looks
Yeah,
incredible there.
yeah, it
It's
does.
amazing, and I'm so jealous.
Yeah. For those of you who I guess have been living under a rock, or if you're joining us for the first time, thank you so much. A big welcome, a big croeso to you
Yeah,
all.
yeah,
The Super Bowl on Sunday will be held, like you said, in the Louisiana Dome in New Orleans between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. A repeat of the 2023 Super Bowl, the Chiefs winning 38-35, one of
yeah.
the highest scoring Super Bowls ever, I believe.
Mm.
So before we preview the big game on Sunday, we've got a few news items to talk about. A lot of things have been going on in the NFL during Super Bowl week. A lot of people think that this is a downtime at the moment. Just before the Super Bowl, we just had the Pro Bowl games, obviously, and then we've got kind of like Mings and Nas, what's going on, the beginning of free agency to follow in March. But we're going to start off with the coaching carousel. So, Guto, remind me, or do you know, how many teams are still waiting to fill their coaching, their head coach job? Do you know?
Yeah, so I believe the Saints are the only team waiting
Yeah.
for someone to be hired. The
And the
Cowboys took
Cowboys
them
as
out.
well?
The Cowboys, they've actually promoted their offensive coordinator. And I hope I get his name right. Brian Schottenheimer.
Oh,
Schottenheimer.
Schottenheimer. Oh, okay.
Schottenheimer. So he's been promoted as head coach. It's his first
Interesting.
actual head coaching job as well.
Wow.
So he
Because
will be,
I thought they were taking a look at Kellen Moore, the
hmm,
OC of the Philadelphia Eagles, and
yeah,
they probably have to wait until the end of the
yeah,
Super Bowl in order
that's
to have an
it.
interview with him.
Yeah.
But there
I
we
think,
are. They
yeah,
promoted Schottenheimer, fair enough.
yeah, yeah,
So there we are. And like you said, ironically, the Saints,
yeah,
the New Orleans Saints are the only other one that's still
yeah,
waiting.
yeah.
Who's the favorite, or is there a favorite for that to land that job?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. I've not had a chance to look
Yeah.
too much
Well,
into it,
do you know what?
but
I might be wrong.
who
That might be where Kellen Moore might be
possibly
heading,
so?
actually,
Yeah, yeah,
because I knew for a fact that they wanted Ben Johnson. A lot. Let's be honest.
yes,
A lot of the teams wanted Ben
yeah,
Johnson. To be
yeah,
fair,
exactly. Yeah,
he turned down head coaching jobs last season in order to stay with the Detroit
mm,
Lions.
yeah.
Um, and he is. And he, where is he now? I'm trying to
He
think. Where
is
is he? He's in
gone to the
Chicago.
Bears. He's gone to the Bears.
Chicago, of
Yeah,
course,
yeah,
which is an interesting job.
yeah,
Obviously, a brand new, well, a quarterback going into his second season, Caleb Williams.
yeah.
A lot of offensive talent with Rome Odunze. Maybe not the best defense at the moment, but you've got, that it's a brilliant city to start off with, and a great sporting city as
It
well.
is.
So I
Yeah,
think I
yeah,
think I think the Bears was probably one of the top three jobs during the off season.
yeah. And speaking of the Lions losing Ben Johnson, they've also lost Aaron Glenn to the
Hmm.
Jets, their
I
defensive
know.
coordinator. So I'm not.
Yep.
I don't know what to think of the Lions. Obviously,
Yeah.
I'm not saying they might have downgraded a little bit. Look at the season that they've had.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah.
losing two games?
I
An
know.
incredible season. We
Wild.
knew they would be in the playoffs, but to have
I
that
know.
kind of season,
Yeah.
and you can obviously praise the players, but it's all down to staff as well. So
Yeah.
they've lost their DC, they've lost their OC now.
Mm.
It's interesting to see how the Lions are going to cope next season. They've got the weapons.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing any major movements with their big players,
Yeah.
but with the coaching staff, that's going to be needing some revamping, of course. But the Jets have got the DC, Aaron Glenn, and Ben Johnson, obviously to the Bears. That's going to be
Yeah.
an interesting off season for them, especially for the Jets. Like, is Aaron Rodgers still going to be the next season?
Well, do you know what? This kind of like intrigues me because all of a sudden, over the last 2 weeks, the AFC East, which is the Dolphins' division, has, well, all of a sudden, like you said, Aaron Glenn has gone to the Jets. You've obviously got McDermott in Buffalo,
Yeah,
who has had a brilliant stint. They've gone to two AFC Championship games. narrow losses to the Chiefs. And now the Patriots have just gone and got Mike Vrabel as well, which is, I thought he was an incredible coach, got the Titans to the championship games as well. Mike Vrabel, a former Patriot player, it was a perfect fit. So you've got all of a sudden 3 defensive mind coaches, and then you've got us with Mike McDaniel in Miami as well. So I think that's going to be, in a couple of years' time, that's going to be a really, really tough division.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah. Another team I think is an interesting one. The Las Vegas Raiders have hired Pete Carroll.
I know.
Or the joke behind it is Tom Brady has hired Pete Carroll. Obviously, Pete Carroll from the Seattle Seahawks, he's won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know, there's some noise about old coaches being in the NFL, but he's got the experience. And, you know, the Raiders, I believe they're top 5, or they might be 6th in the draft. You know, they will be looking for a quarterback, definitely. They're not going to rely on Desmond Ridder. They're not.
So, or Gardner Minshew.
Or Minshew.
Or Aiden O'Connell, going to be drafting
a quarterback. They will draft a quarterback. So, you know, it's an interesting job for Pete Carroll to go into. Obviously, you've got Tom Brady above him, obviously. So, I don't know what his role actually is, apart from being part owner or something. So, I think that's an interesting one for the Raiders. I think they can make a bit of noise next season.
I just don't. I don't know if it looks right. Maybe it's because I've seen Pete Carroll with the Seahawks for over 20 years.
Yeah,
it just looks a little bit weird. Him with the Raiders.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
He used to.
Yeah. But like I said, he's an excellent defensive mind. Clearly a brilliant head coach, and I think he's a tempo setter as well in terms of culture. I think he's going to turn the culture there. I think, like you said. Is Max Crosby going to be there next season? I don't know. He could be a potential trade candidate. We'll get to some trade candidates in very, very shortly, by the way, because massive breaking news over the last couple of days. But you know what? Before we end the coaching carousel, one job and one bit of news that I thought was fascinating. What happened with Leo Cohen flip-flopping from the Buccaneers, where he was the offensive coordinator? Obviously, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in your division because you're a massive Falcons fan, for those of you who don't know. What on earth happened there?
Yeah, he's gone to the Jaguars. That was a very back and forth one as well. I'm wondering what Liam Cohen sees in Louis Rizamit, being Welsh, obviously. The former coach, Doug Peterson, I believe, he was a big fan of Louis Rizamit. You know, he wanted to keep him in the practice squad. There's rumours that Louis Rizamit has signed a contract. I've heard that he hasn't. I don't think anything out there is official in terms of its contract status. So I'm interested, and I'm looking closely to see what Liam Cohen is going to do with Louis Rizamit. Hopefully he stays, or he finds a team anyway. So I think Jaguars is the best team for him.
Yeah, well,
I said that in the last week episode as well. I do think Jaguars is his best fit.
Zamet is, Louis Zamet is living it up in Bali and Malaysia and other places like that. So he looks like he's having a brilliant time on his Instagram. But there we are. But just back to Liam Cullen, just quickly. I can't remember which team he had a second interview for. He got really, really close, so they wanted him anyway. Then he turned that down to go back to the Buccaneers because the Buccaneers offered him the most money in the NFL to be any coordinator. They were going to break the bank for him. And then he used that as leverage to get the Jacksonville Jaguars job, because all of a sudden Jacksonville heard that Liam Cohen was potentially going to go back to the Buccaneers. The Jaguars were about to hire Robert Saleh as the new coach. Then offered Liam Cohen, apparently, Ben Johnson money, because Jacksonville, their first choice, again, like many others, was Ben Johnson. So now Liam Cullen has basically ditched the Buccaneers and gone to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Would you think, like, as a Jacksonville player, do you think that's a massive red flag coming into?
But looking at Liam Cohen, it's not. He's staying in Florida, isn't he? Maybe he just doesn't want to leave Florida. So that might be one way to look at it. That might be a silly way to look at it. I'm not sure, but you know, It's an interesting one, obviously, because obviously money comes into everything. So,
Yeah, yeah.
and that is his business in the end. So,
If I was a member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers board, or especially if I was Todd Bowles, the head
yeah,
coach, I would be absolutely livid
yeah,
with my former now OC.
mm,
Because to be fair, I mean he's performed miracles with Baker Mayfield over the last couple of
he
years,
has.
a couple of seasons, hasn't he? To be fair,
Yeah,
but there we
yeah,
are. He's left Tampa Bay. He's now the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. But I just wanted to point that out because I thought that was absolutely crazy in terms of loyalty. Where does the
yeah,
loyalty lies? But like you said, at the end of the day, everyone needs to get the dollar. So
exactly.
clearly, he's got his job, he's got his money over in Jacksonville, and he starts a new chapter there. Okay, so there we are. I think we've covered everything in terms of head coaching jobs. Now then, we're going to move on to the breaking news that happened a couple of days ago,
Yeah,
where one Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett, put
yeah,
out on Instagram that he wanted a trade. He'd put a trade request to the Cleveland Browns. He obviously wants to leave Ohio. Deshaun Watson has re-ruptured his Achilles tendon, so he's definitely going to be out of next season.
yes.
Cleveland have got the number three
Number two,
spot in the
number
draft as
three.
well.
Yeah,
So I
top
think
three.
they
Yeah,
might be fishing for another quarterback as well.
yeah,
But clearly, he put in his statement he wants to compete. He wants to chase that ring, doesn't he?
yes.
And what was your view? I mean, clearly, it's a no-brainer for him to do this trade request.
Yeah, I don't. I think it is. I think it shows where the Cleveland Browns as a team is at the
Yeah,
moment as well. Um, they probably won't be competing for another 4 or 5 seasons. I don't think
yeah.
it's going to be a massive rebuild there, and now losing Myles Garrett is going to be even worse. So,
Tough division as well,
but
you know.
it is, yeah. But obviously they're top three in the draft, so
Mm,
they'll also be fishing for a top quarterback as well. But I think
yeah,
it's a few seasons of rebuilding there.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, he wants to win.
yeah,
And he to be fair, he deserves it. He's a top player. He's
yeah. He
last
is
season defensive player of the year. He I think anybody will be looking at him
100%.
trying to fit him in, definitely.
Yeah, so let's talk about it. Let's look
Yeah.
at possible fits, shall we? And
Yeah.
maybe shall we think about what it's going to take in terms of draft picks, maybe, or if are they going to do a player swap? I'm not sure. So I'm going to throw it to you first. If you have a team,
Yeah.
which team do you think that Myles Garrett
Yeah.
would fit best?
I think the most noise, and I think a team that would probably make sense for him. I'm going to start off with the LA Chargers, right?
Okay.
So there's rumors that Kelly Mack and Joey Bosa might be leaving the Chargers. They'll be looking
Okay.
for some defensive players, and
Hmm.
maybe Myles Garrett wants to move to LA, play for the Chargers, play at SoFi Stadium, one of the
Yeah.
nicest stadium in the NFL.
Yeah.
I think that might be a good move for him.
Okay, cool. I hadn't thought about the Chargers, to be honest with you, and they've got, and let's be honest, they've got a badass of a head coach as well in Jim Harbaugh as well. So,
Yes, 100%.
um, I think another place he could go, and it worries me greatly, if you think about it, the Buffalo Bills.
Hmm. Yeah,
They've come so close to getting to the Super Bowl, to the dance, so many times. They've got their quarterback. They've got a brilliant defensive coach in McDermott. The thing that potentially is going to get them to the Super Bowl is a world-class defensive end. I know they've got Von Miller on a very, very expensive contract at the moment, but what Von Miller is, well, it feels like Von Miller has been around and he's around 45. He
yeah,
must be in his early or to mid 30s by now. He's injury prone. I know they've got another defensive end that they drafted, Gregory Rousseau. He's shown some glimpse as well,
yeah,
but you need a superstar in order to get you there. The Chiefs have got Chris Jones. So maybe this is the Buffalo Bills' opportunity just to get that extra star on the defensive end that's going to give you that game-changing play. So I know it honestly, it pains me to say again because the Bills are in my division, but I can just see them just going out and making that move just to try to get them to the Super Bowl, So I'm going with the Bills. Have you got another possible team?
I've got one more team for you. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm looking at a logistically and location.
Yeah.
He is a Texan. He's from Texas.
Okay.
The Houston Texans are so close to being on the same level as, maybe not the Chiefs, but the Bills, the Ravens, the Bengals. They weren't brilliant this season. Obviously, they beat the Chargers in the wild card, and they got to the next round just about. I think maybe having him in that defensive team, I think that's one piece in the defense that they may need to be on that level.
Yeah.
To get closer to the Chiefs, to be on the same level as, like I said, the Ravens, the Bengals, the Bills. And he's from Texas as well. So I think that would be an ideal location for him as well, and that will push the Houston Texans forward. I like the Houston Texans. I like their team. I think they're last season they were very exciting. This season, obviously, they had some hit and misses, but they've got a great future ahead of them.
Yeah, I mean, they had some injuries towards the end of the season. Tank Dell, he was a massive loss for them as well, and I know Nico Collins, the other wide receiver, he spent some time on IR injury reserve as well. So that again, I can't fault you for that. That's a really, really good shout. Now then, my last team, this might be out there.
Go on.
Again, I'm the same idea, the same mentality as the Buffalo Bills, the team that's very, 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 very close to getting to the Super Bowl or back to the Super Bowl in the AFC, the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, they were on my list as well.
However, would Cleveland dare do an in the division trade?
They're rivals, aren't they? So
massive rivals. However, if you think about it, I can just see Myles Garrett on the Ravens. Just the energy, the look, just everything feels right for me. They went out to then the Ravens went out to get Derrick Henry. A lot of people thought Derrick Henry was washed. Clearly he isn't. He got 1,600 yards. And I think he's got at least another season in him. So they've got a brilliant running game. They've got a fabulous offensive line, O-line. They've got Lamar Jackson. They've got a nasty defense. However, the one thing to tip them over the edge and to scare everyone else in the NFL would to add Myles Garrett. Okay, what does that mean? Would they have to send a piece back to Cleveland? Maybe they would send, I don't know, someone like the D lineman Madubuike, maybe, do you reckon a team would have to give a first and two firsts? A lot of people are saying maybe two firsts. I think that's a little bit over the top for me. Definitely a first round pick, and maybe a first and a third, maybe, or a first and another player. What do you think?
I think so. Yeah, it will have to be maybe a player. I think 3 or 4 draft picks. A first round, maybe a second and a third as well. To make it more interesting for them. I saw a funny joke that the Falcons were going to trade Kyle Pitts and our tight end and a couple of draft picks, a first round, second round, third round, fourth.
Wow.
Do we need him? I don't know. We've got an okay defense. I'd take it. I like Kyle Pitts. I don't want to lose Kyle Pitts, but I think for any team, it will take a couple of draft picks and 1 or 2 players, 100%.
Yeah. So you're just coming back to Kyle Pitts. Actually, he's really, really interesting. So, are you still a believer in Kyle Pitts? What is he going into his 4th or his 5th season?
This will be his 4th or 5th. Yeah. Well, I've got his jersey upstairs, so I am a believer. So, maybe this will be his. If he stays, I think he has one more season to prove himself.
Yeah.
He's only 25. He's only he's turning 24, so he's still young.
he's going to be playing on his 5th-year option, isn't he? So basically, he's going to be in a contract year. So if he is going to emerge, then it's kind of going to have to be now. Don't get me wrong, I can see another team trading for him if the Falcons don't want to give him another contract. I just remember him coming out to Florida in the draft a couple of years ago because he was drafted a couple of places higher than when we drafted the Dolphins drafted Jalen Waddle. Right. And I really wanted the Dolphins to go after Pitts because he's a freakish tight end, let's be honest.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He can be explosive as well.
Yeah.
And with next season coming up with Penix Jr. being our starting quarterback, he will be. That might benefit Kyle Pitts, I think.
Yeah.
And it's definitely benefited Drake London 100%.
Yeah.
Even in just the 3 games that he's started. So, but the future's bright for us, I think. And I think Kyle Pitt, if he stays, he has one more season to prove himself.
Okay, last question about the Falcons before we preview the Super Bowl. Kirk Cousins, is he going to be the start of the 2020-2025 season, yes or no?
Oh, I think I need a few more minutes on this one. I'm quickly going to say yes for the season.
as the backup?
As a backup, yes.
Okay.
I think Penix should proved himself he can start.
Fair enough. Okay. There we are. Let's move on then to our Super Bowl preview. Like we said before, it's a rematch of the Super Bowl 2 years ago, which finished 38-35. The Chiefs kicking a last-minute field goal to win that game. Yep. That was just an absolutely sensational game. Everything that you want from a Super Bowl. It was for anyone who was watching the Super Bowl or an NFL game for the first time, that was the perfect game for them to watch because it was so entertaining. It was back and forth. Long 60, 70-yard touchdowns, a defensive score, a last-minute field goal. You had a failed Hail Mary. What else do you want? However, do you think this year's Super Bowl is going to be, again, a high-scoring game, or is it going to be a defensive struggle?
I've thought about this all day, and the weapons that's in the team has got it's very capable of being a high-scoring game. You've seen, obviously, you've got one of the best running backs in the game in Saquon Barkley. He can run through anyone and anything. You've seen, Travis Kelce, he turns up in playoff games. He does.
Yeah.
But if you look at Hollywood Brown this season, DeAndre Hopkins.
I know
he's almost in his 30s, or if he is in his 30s, but he is a weapon for the Chiefs.
He is.
And I believe this is his first Super Bowl as well.
I know, first Super Bowl. Yeah. I'm really glad for him because he was on a really, really talented Texans team. Then he was traded to Arizona. Arizona started off that season, his first season, 8-0, 9-0, looking that potentially they'd get to the Super Bowl, and then he never got there because he's a 2 or 3 time Pro Bowler. So I'm really glad that he's got to the Super Bowl. Interesting you say that because you've mentioned some of the pieces the Chiefs have. I'm trying to draw the comparison between the roster they had 2 years ago and this year's roster, the Chiefs now. So their weapons, the last time they played the Eagles in the Super Bowl, they had Kadarius Toney. Yeah. They had Juju Smith-Schuster, who is back with the team for another Super Bowl. Yeah. They still have Pacheco, like you said. They've still got Travis Kelce. But this time around, they've got Xavier Worthy, the rookie, the speedster. Like you said, they've got Hollywood Brown and they've got DeAndre Hopkins as well. Yeah. And they've got Kareem Hunt as well. So I think, personally, offensively, this Chiefs team is definitely better than the offensive side of the ball 2 years ago, and somehow they still managed to score 38 points, which is kind of scary, really.
Yeah. And I do think that's one of the reasons why I think we're in for a treat on Sunday night. It's going to be another high-scoring game. New Orleans is going to be bouncing. And
Yeah,
I'm so looking
absolutely.
forward to it. I've got two guys coming over. They're both Eagles fans, so
Oh,
I'm very excited to see their reaction at the end of the game.
yeah, 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 yeah,
It's going to be an interesting. I'm looking forward to it.
yeah. Do you think the Eagles team or roster is better this year than they were 2 years ago?
Offensively, I think defensively, pardon me, I don't know much of the players, but defensively they're stronger.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
and there's more skill in offense.
Yeah,
Saquon Barkley is a game changer in any team.
yeah, he is.
He
Yeah,
is he is the noise. So
yeah, that's gonna be the game changer. Well, that was the main thing that was missing for the Eagles
yeah,
the last
yeah,
time they played the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Don't get me wrong. I think Jalen Hurts scrambled quite a lot in that game, but then again, they had long completions to
yeah,
Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. AJ Brown, I think, scored a 60-yard touchdown in the second quarter.
yeah,
However, I personally, like I said, I agree. Their defense has just gone up a notch. And I know their defensive coach very, very well. One, Vic Fangio, who
yeah,
was the defensive coordinator of the Dolphins last year, left under, um, let's just say, dodgy circumstances. He was only with us for a year because turns out he already said that he originally wanted to go to the Philadelphia Eagles in the first place. But then they somehow that job wasn't open or they filled it with someone else. He went to the Dolphins, which was clearly his second choice.
yeah,
Um, didn't get on with the players that well. You know, he's one of the kind of traditionalists. I think he's Vic's in his 70s now. He's like Belichick,
yeah,
Pete Carroll. He's been around the block, but let's be honest, a lot of defensive coaches around the NFL base their defenses on either Bill Belichick scheme or a Vic Fangio scheme. So I think the Eagles defense this year has been completely lights out. They've bought in players. They've got a linebacker. I can't remember his name now, which used to be a special teams player.
yeah,
They've got him on the Eagles roster. They've been coached him up, and this year he's a Pro Bowler, which is absolutely insane.
yeah,
So defensively, the Eagles are going to be stronger. However, looking at the Chiefs side, I think defensively they're going to be stronger than they were 2 years ago. Because 2 years ago, they had a lot of rookies, a lot of youngsters. McDuffie was a youngster. He's probably one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL by now. So they've had another 2 seasons under their belts.
yeah,
Let's be honest, for those of you who watched the Super Bowl last year against the 49ers, the Chiefs defense clearly won that game. For
yeah.
me, Chris Jones
Chris
was
Jones.
the MVP of that game.
Yeah,
He's going to be in the middle of that D line, and although the Eagles have probably one of the best O lines in the NFL, you put Chris Jones, George Karlaftis in there, they're still going to create some pressure
yeah.
on Jalen Hurts, I think.
And it's interesting to see how they're going to stop Saquon Barkley as well. I,
Yeah,
I keep going
yeah,
back to Saquon Barkley because he
mm,
is the noise. It's
yeah.
interesting to see how they're going to stop him. I do have to time it. We only got 5 minutes left of recording, so
Perfect.
but I'm I'm so looking forward to Sunday night. It's my favorite time of the year.
Yeah, I know. It is literally it's a second Christmas, let's be
Yeah,
honest, isn't it?
yeah,
You know.
yeah.
Definitely the highlight, the sporting highlight on the calendar for me, 100%.
Yes.
And so perfect. We only have 5 minutes left. This leads us perfectly then to predictions.
Yeah.
Guitar, I want your prediction. Who's going to win Super Bowl 58? Will the Chiefs win a historical three-peat? For those of you who weren't sure or aren't sure what that means, no franchise, no team has ever won three Super Bowls in a row. So the Chiefs are trying to do something historic here. The Eagles, like I said, have been around the Super Bowl. They won the Super Bowl in 2017. They got to the Super Bowl in 2023, and they've got a absolutely stacked roster this year. So, Guitar, head on the block. who's going to win on Sunday?
Yeah, you've asked me this last week very quickly. You didn't give me much time to think about it. So I word out the Kansas City Chiefs. They go into a three-peat. The more I think about it, I think history is going to be made. I think that the Chiefs will win the three-peat. However, it was the Eagles that actually stopped the New England Patriots for winning the three-peat.
Yes.
So
thank goodness for that.
So
no offense, Patriot fans.
They can do it again. They can do it.
Yeah.
Again. And it will be interesting to see if they do. But the more I think about it, with how the Chiefs are playing, I'm not going to go on about how if the refs are on their side or not.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping for a good game. And I do think, at the end of the day, the Chiefs will win the three-peat.
Yeah.
And I think it will be a high-scoring game. I think it will be back and forth again.
Yeah.
The Chiefs are winning it for me.
Yeah.
What about you?
I have to agree with you. I'm going for something like 28-25. I think it's going to be in the mid-20s. Like you said, just a note on you bringing up when the Eagles beat the Patriots, and a really, really nice story, actually. Do you remember how they won that Super Bowl? It was Brandon Graham, the defensive lineman. He sacked Tom Brady, who fumbled the ball, and the Eagles recovered. Brandon Graham has been injured all season. However, he might be able to play on Sunday.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so.
Is history going to repeat itself? Yeah. But let's be honest, if you're asking me, Tom Brady is no Patrick Mahomes. When Patrick Mahomes, let's be honest, the Chiefs have the best player. The Eagles have the best roster. They have the best team.
Yeah.
So I still think the Chiefs are going to win. Like I said, it's going to be incredible if they do win to be able to witness history like this. So, like I said, it's going to be a fantastic spectacle on Sunday. And like I said, my dad, I know I'm probably going to be watching with my dad. My dad is a massive Chiefs fan. So this is his time. And I think they're going to win the three-peat again. So it's going to be a brilliant watch. That's going to be it for the preview. Thank you so much for watching. Join us on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, all of that. For those of you who are watching your first Super Bowl, have the best time, and we will catch you very, very soon. Guto, diolch yn fawr iawn.
Thank you very much, and enjoy your Super Bowl. Thank you very much, guys.